Okay. Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our third RA Info session. My name is Kelsey Dillard. I'm the coordinator for Student Staff Selection and Leadership.
Hi, my name is Carly Berthiaume, and I'm the graduate coordinator for Student Staff Selection.
Right. So this presentation that we'll be going over today is very brief, but we'll be going over the RA position. But we'll mainly focus on giving you all time to ask questions to the selection committee, myself and Carly, as well as current RAs with us today about the RA selection process and the interview process as well.
All right, so what does an RA do? RAs are responsible for creating and maintaining a community environment through sharing resources, supporting our area councils, mediations, roommate agreements, initiatives and committees, and general connection to community and campus. There's also a variety of administrative tasks such as incident reports, health and safety checks, work orders, occupancy checks, and so much more. RAs are also expected to serve in on-duty rotations. During weekdays, these will be from 4:45 to 8 p.m. at the desk, and then 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. on call. And then on weekends, from 4:45 to 4:45 the next day. This is not every weekday and every weekend. Each community has their own way of selecting what days of the year you'd be on call, so it's not every single day. But RAs are expected to serve a number of on-call shifts. They're also expected to implement the residential curriculum through conversations, community meetings, relationship building, and campus partnerships.
Right, so what does the time commitment look like? So approximately RAs will work 15 to 20 hours a week, depending on the week itself. Our move in and move out, as well as training, is a little bit more than our week-to-week basis. As Carly mentioned in the previous slide, we do have RAs staffed into our halls 24/7, 365 days a year. That doesn't mean that every single RA is there 24/7, 365, but we do have coverage 24/7. Of course, you'll work on move in and move out for our residential halls, as well as attend weekly staff meetings and one-on-ones with your supervisor or supervisors. We also have our spring, summer, and fall training with more information in a later slide. Of course, we'll be interacting with residents. That should happen often as a part of the RA position. And then if you have any outside work that must be approved by your supervisors, you're only allowed to work 15 additional hours a week.
All right, and here are some just required dates just to keep on your radar when you're considering applying to be an RA. These dates are mandatory and cannot be missed unless they are for extenuating circumstances. So we do have our fall training, which is typically 2 weeks prior to move-in. You're also expected to work move-in and move-out for all semesters, so August, December, January, and May. We also have development days that are the week after fall move-in or before spring move-in. There's also our summer training, which is a week before spring move-out or before summer move-in. There are also in-services on the second Thursday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. Keep in mind these are tentative dates and are subject to change based on the academic calendar.
Right, so how to apply, great question. So the RA application is actually open now, and it'll be open through December 8th, 2025, which is next Monday, a week from today. You can apply on ucf.ereslife.com. Whenever you're in the application process, we do require 2 references. One is we like to encourage UCF for one of those references, but both of your references cannot be family members. Both of them have to be non-family members. Reference forms are due the next day, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, by 11:59 p.m. because they will not get the notification that they are a reference for you until after you submit your application. The application questions at large are mainly personality questions, as well as 5 short answer questions for you to complete, and then some job preferences questions as well to help us within the process. You can edit your application up until you're finished and ready to submit. So if you want to answer a question or two now and think on it a little bit, you can do some return to your application. And as I stated previously, your reference will not be notified until after you completely finalize your application and hit submit.
Alrighty, so now it is your turn. We do have a lovely panel of RAs here today. In case you have any questions for them or questions for us regarding the application and interview process, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We will be more than happy to answer them. But first, I'm gonna have our RAs introduce themselves. Jack, if you'd like to go first.
Hi, everybody. As Carly said, my name is Jack. I am a junior currently. I'm in my second year of being an RA, and I've worked in Towers and Northview.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabe and I am a junior finance major and I work in Libra, Towers, and Lake Claire.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jacob. I'm a first-year RA here in Lake Claire, a former resident of Neptune, and I'm a political science major and a senior here at UCF.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started with our questions. Our first question says, out of curiosity, what do the group interviews look like?
Yeah, so this is a great question. Our group interviews are something we're implementing this year to gain a better and more comprehensive look at our candidate pool. For the group interviews, there'll be 3 different activities used to gauge like leadership skills and other qualities we're looking for the resident assistants. And so groups of no more than 10 candidates will be going to 3 different activities throughout the group interview block and are given a list of tasks pertinent to that specific activity in order to complete. Again, this was going to be used to gain a more comprehensive look at the candidate pool for our overall process. Do you have anything to add, Carly?
No, I think that's good. It is brand new, which can be a little bit daunting, but it's truly designed to give you more opportunities to showcase who you are as a candidate. So don't go into it thinking that you're getting like super compared to other people. It's really just about what you can show. All right, our next question is, what does outside hours mean? Can you give some examples? I think this is a really good question for our RAs, if anyone wants to talk about some of their experiences outside the RA role. Yeah, Gabe, go ahead.
I can start. So outside hours is anything that extracurriculars that you do or jobs. So right now I'm in student government and I'm a senator. So how balancing that works is basically I just have to make sure that my classes student government, and this job doesn't like conflict with one another. So I know that for the in-services that we just mentioned for every second Thursday of every month, I have to basically prioritize some work like RA more than the others. So anything that basically is, not an RA work is an outside hour. So anything that you do there.
Yeah, I would say he kind of like hit it on the head. Outside hours are very flexible too, is what I would say. Like a lot of the hours that you have that are like set aside, you don't have to use for housing, which is why they're called outside hours. So I'm also a part of ROTC and I do research as well. Last year when I was an RA, I also was working as a bartender. So like there's a lot of time that you have as a college student to where you're able to like do your classes and things like that. And then like you're contracted for, it's only like 15 to 20 hours a week. There's a lot of hours in the week beyond that you can then be going to do other things, go spend time with friends, go pick up another job, do something like ROTC or be a senator for SGA and things like that. So there's a lot of time for extracurriculars pretty much.
Yeah, that actually perfectly goes into our next question, which just says, I know that you can't have a job as an RA, but how does it work if you do research? So you are allowed to have a separate requirement if you do like serve as an RA, again, just up to those 15 hours. And like Jack said, he's involved in research. RAs are absolutely students first. So we 100% respect and understand any course requirements that you have outside of that as well.
Yeah, I can touch on that too. For me, my research is with a class, so it didn't matter to me in terms of the like extra 15 hours. I'm not getting paid for the research that I do. I'm getting it for credit. So that was what I was doing my first year. Now I'm doing research as an extension of that research project before. We never finished it. And so I have returned as a research assistant. However, because I'm still not being paid, I don't have to clock it. And so it doesn't run into my 15 extra hours. However, if you are doing research purely for pay and like for research purposes, but you are being paid and you're acting more so like a research assistant or like an intern, you would just have to log that with your boss, have a conversation with them, and then you kind of just move forward from there.
Thank you. All right. And our next question is, at any point you need to submit a resume. You do not. For a lot of RAs, this can be their first job. So we really don't require any sort of resume to be submitted. What really matters is to us is that you're like able to perform in the job without needing too much experience and just really able to learn new things. So I know for a lot of our RAs, it's literally their first job ever. So no need to submit a resume. All right, next question. If you get picked to be an RA and you work during the summer, are you able to take any time off? So we do something called nights away. I don't know if any of the RAs would like to speak on their experience with that as well. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I've used nights away before, solely if I'm gonna be gone for like a week or like somewhere far away. So Nights Away basically works is I think you get, correct me if I'm wrong, you get like 2 weeks, 14 days in a semester or something, that you can basically let your supervisor know that you're going to be gone on this day and if it's okay. And then you have to put that in um, through Teams, which is the thing that we use for every shifts. And then they have to approve it. And basically, um, once you're approved, you're more than welcome to leave. Not saying that you're not allowed to leave your community even if you're not working, but like that's just if you're not going to be on campus, like if you're going to be gone for an extending amount of time, like let's say 3 days, and you're not going to be um, anywhere near your community.
Thank you. Our next question.
Yeah, so our next question is about the information sessions. So this is one of our live information sessions. However, you're not required to attend the live information sessions. You are required to listen to our pre-recorded video as part of the application process. And so that would meet that requirement.
Alrighty, next question. Should I sign a lease if I'm applying to be an RA, or would it be more wise to wait?
That's a great question. So we would encourage anybody that's like applying to be an RA, whether they receive the job or not, to sign a lease, just because it's not guaranteed that you get the RA position. However, we do have a few properties that we work with, that we have MOUs with, that if you are selected, we would be able to help you break that lease. That being The Point, Night Circle, and Union West in the downtown campus. Those three are the only three communities that we would be able to help you break that lease. Otherwise, you would have to go through that process yourself. But we do recommend that anybody and everybody that's applying to be an RA do sign a lease, just in the case that you aren't selected for the position, just to make sure that you have that accommodation in place.
All right, perfect. Okay, our next question is, what is your biggest advice to someone going through the RA selection process? If RAs would like to take this one. Yeah, Jacob, go ahead.
I can take this one because I believe I'm the lowest on the totem pole in terms of years on the job. So for me, I actually was recommended like to the job and like to apply by my RA back in Neptune last year, and she was amazing. And for me, I get really nervous in terms of like really like tackling on leadership positions, specifically in UCF. I don't have many. I still don't have many, so it's still like nerve-wracking every time I sort of reach a new rung on the ladder, to really just try and like hammer in my experience in my undergrad years. So my biggest advice would honestly just be confident in yourself, because I think in this role, when you're applying and when you're thinking about applying, or when you hear about it like through the grapevine of your friends or your family or whatever, you don't really know a lot about it, like unless you attend an information session like this, or you heard about something that can really give you specifics. It's really, you sort of like, oh, like I'll do it, like I'll apply and we'll see what happens. So I think for me, a big part of it was nerves. I felt like I was really underqualified for the position, and maybe I was not the best candidate in terms of experience. But here I am, alive to tell the tale, and it's a really rewarding experience. So just be confident in yourself, and just make sure that you have that drive and that you have the ability to do it. Absolutely.
I'll kind of just add on to that. Also, like, ask your RAs for help. They're there to help you, and they can help you, like, kind of guide you through the process, because they've also gone through that. I know that the first year I applied, I unfortunately did not get selected. I got into the alternate, and then from that on, I knew I wanted the job. I knew I wanted the position, so I tried to get more involved next year and like kind of get myself out there. And when I applied, I just used those experience that I have and was able to get in the second time.
Yeah, I'll kind of echo what both of them said. Definitely a little bit of the application process and how it's structured is about who you know rather than what you know. So definitely try to get involved in as much as possible, because there's going to be so many people that are applying for housing, specifically for RA. I believe it's actually the most applied for position on campus. There's so many people that it's a lot about like who you know. So if you can get involved in housing, or you can go and get involved in SGA, they might see your name come across and be like, I've seen him do or like her do something else on campus. So I know that they're involved, so they have maybe 1 or 2 more connections than somebody else. So that might help you out. And then I would also say be confident in yourself. 100%. That's correct. There's a lot of experiences that you're going to go through as an RA. There's a lot of answers, and none of them are particularly right, and none of them are particularly wrong. So at the end of the day, you're going to be relying on your past experiences, how you were raised, and how you went through training. And it's just kind of, you're going to make a decision off of that, and then you're going to learn from that experience. So just be you.
Yeah, that goes really well into our next question, which is how selective is the RA selection process? Fairly, I will say. Like Jack said, and like they all really said, it's a really great job to have on campus, honestly. So there are a lot of people who apply for it each year. However, I would implore you to not take that as a sign that you shouldn't apply or shouldn't do your best. We truly are looking for literally anybody and everybody to serve the RA role. There's no perfect RA. So 100% just recommend being yourself and doing what you can. Try not to focus on the percentages too much, but it is a fairly selective role. So I would recommend doing your best. That also goes a little bit into our next question, which is what is the alternate position? Do you want?
Yeah. The alternate position is if you're not selected initially to be an RA within one of our residential communities, we'll have what's called an alternate pool. So somebody should have a change in either their academic plan or some personal circumstances that would warrant them to step away from the role, or if they happen to graduate early for whatever reason, we would then go to that alternate pool to then see who would be a good fit within that specific community. So you're not actively in the role. However, it's a list of if you're still interested in a position, if we have a vacancy during the year, we would pull from that list.
Exactly. Okay, next question. I've seen a lot of events that my RA has posted. Amazing, your RA is awesome. Is there a required number of events that we would need to host per semester or anything? Would any of our RAs like to type about this? Gabe, awesome.
So you're required to have one event per week for the month. So you're gonna have, for us, at least in Lake Claire, there's 3 people in a group, and every week we would have an event. You only need to host one event for the month, and your other RAs are gonna host their own events for that month as well. So there needs to be at least an event every week for the month if your staff has enough people for it.
Yeah, I know that varies on community. Jack, did you want to?
Yeah, so I would like to kind of add to that. It's going to be very dependent on your community and where you live. So Libra, because there's so many RAs there, they're going to have multiple events per week. However, you as an RA, as an individual, you're only hosting one event a month. So I don't want you to be oh, I have to set aside time to host an event every single week. Your staff as a whole will be doing that, but you yourself are only doing one a month. So don't get too overwhelmed with the idea of oh my gosh, I have to do so many events. No, you're only doing one event. Usually an event's an hour or 2, and then you're setting up and breaking down. So you're looking at an hour and a half to 2.5 hours per month, all in total. So it's really not that bad. It's a really great time for you to build community and knock out some nights too. Help you out with your night-to-night numbers.
Jacob, do you have a favorite event you've hosted? I'm putting you on the spot.
I do actually, and this is super important for me because this was my first event. So this was back in September, and it was literally just a game night. It was relaxed. It was fun. It was the 3 of us, so myself and then my duty partners, Daisy and Justin. If you know them, they're fantastic. It was just a game night. We had all the board games you could possibly have. In Lake Claire, we have this giant bucket in the art room that we have in the community center. It has all these games. One of my RAs, Justin, he brought his TV and they played Just Dance. They hooked it up to the TV in Lake Claire. We had over 115 people attend, so I was one of the most. I know that Daisy got a shout out for it in the RA newsletter. It was that important. But it was really fun, and it actually allowed me to figure out how, because it was my first event, it allowed me to figure out how we're supposed to do sign-in, because I don't know if this is relevant to the question, but you should probably know this as well for people who want to do this. When you do sign-ins for attendance, that is the whole, that is the core of how pro staff and upper level staff in housing know how many people attended your event, who were they, and whatever community they live in. So it's pretty much you sign with just your email and your ID. And we had over 115 people show up on one night in the middle of September. So it was definitely very rewarding. But that was my favorite just because it was my first, and we knocked it out of the park for sure.
I agree. I saw pictures. Alrighty, next question. Is there any potential date for the application results to come out?
Yeah, so offers are being sent late February. I think it's the 27th. That's our fingers crossed. But late February is when we're hoping to send out offers if for both our alternate pool as well as our positional offers. So be on the lookout for late February.
Alrighty, next question. Are the chances of previous RAs more likely to get accepted into the position compared to newbies? Fun fact, there's actually a separate process for like previous RAs to be returning to the role compared to new RAs. So you are in a pool of your own, so to speak. So we consider the returning RAs in a separate application form, and the new RAs are all on their own. Just kidding. Alrighty, please feel free to keep sending any questions, but for now we're going to go on to the next one, which is, what has been your favorite experience as an RA?
I'll start us off. So for me, it's always about like spending time with my residents and getting to know my residents. And one thing that I like to do is I like to like use what I enjoy to make it a connection with my residents. So I really love music. And so one thing that I've done both years is I create a floor Spotify playlist, and I add songs to the Spotify playlist, and then I share it with my residents. And at events, we play the music. Well, last year when I was in Towers, one of the events was like, it was an okay event. I'll admit it was not that great of an idea. So we broke out the karaoke machine and we all sang each other's Spotify songs. And like when your song came on, you had to get up there and you had to go sing your Spotify song. And it was really fun. So that was probably one of my bigger memories. Or last year I was working Thanksgiving and I invited multiple of my residents because they were also staying because they were international and they couldn't go home. So they had Thanksgiving dinner with my family. So that was nice too.
For me, at least, I love working with my coworkers. Being in like 3 different communities now, I've worked with a lot of different people, and all of them have really different experiences, backgrounds, and being able to chat with them and get to know them is one of them. And being able to work with them to host these events is always awesome. Especially, well, another one is like definitely echoing what Jack was saying with the residents. I love talking to my residents and getting to know them. And even if I've only made like a little bit of an impact in their life, at least I'm glad to know that I'm there for them whenever they need me.
So for me, in terms of my favorite experience, just as more of like a personal note, I would say that experience would be, I mean, not to like copycat Gabe, I did have this thought already. But it was really just like learning with my staff because like you guys were saying earlier, a big part of the job is like judgment calls. It's not like, you can get a handbook of 500 pages, but you can't be expected to memorize it all, right? So it's kind of that scenario where you like learn as you go, and it can be a learning experience, good or bad. And that's how you go, and you go to your next month, your next day, your next resident, like in terms of talking to them. But for me, it's been a huge sort of like crutch and be able to rely on both the pro staff and the RA staff. Absolutely fantastic in Lake Claire. Not to self-aggrandize a little bit, but as Gabe can attest, we are a really tight-knit community in terms of our staff. So for me, being able to rely on them when I need to, I ask anyone in Lake Claire. I ask so many questions, it probably makes their heads explode a little bit. So knowing that I'm able to rely on them like day to day, in terms of like, hey, like I have a resident that has this situation, any ideas on how to help, like before I have to, do any sort of paperwork or go up the leadership food chain or anything like that. So a big part of that would be relying on the staff that I've been gifted for sure. But in terms of my favorite experience with my residents was I hosted actually a Friendsgiving potluck on November 14th. Not to be specific, but it was okay. It was about like, I want to say 15 of my residents showed up, but I was not expecting anyone to bring food, even though it's a Friendsgiving and you normally think people are going to bring food. My residents kept asking me what I was going to make and like what I was going to bring. And I literally just had a giant pot of buffalo mac and cheese. That's all I was bringing. So it was take it or leave it. It was delicious, Carly. I know you're looking. It was delicious, but I was really nervous. And all of my residents who showed up, even though it was only like less than a third of my building, they brought like mac and cheese, cheeseburger dip, like all these cookies, and like they really showed up. So I would say like knowing that you might not always have an impact on them, like Gabe was saying, like a big impact, but times like that really come in clutch, I would say. So
awesome, thank you. Well, Jacob's in trouble for not inviting me. Seeing no more questions, please feel free to send more, but we're going to continue with the presentation.
Yeah. As I said in the first slide, our application does close on December 8th at 11:59 p.m. That QR code will take you to ucf.ereslife.com where our application is. So if you're interested, please scan that and apply. We have some of the benefits on the right-hand side here. Of course, the on-campus housing, consistent biweekly pay, that personal professional development, resume building experience, mentorship opportunities, and then some teamwork skills as well. And then we have our last Q&A info session this time next week, December 8th, 6 to 7. It's going to be our final live stream info session for you all. So if you're interested in attending, please tune in for that as well.
All right, perfect. As always, if you have any further questions, like Kelsey said, you can either join our info session next week, or you can always email us at reslifeselection@ucf.edu. But again, thank you so much for attending our informational session. I can't wait to read all of your applications. Bye.